I think, I mean, listen, I'm always flattered when people take pictures of the food because they think it's beautiful and they think it's gonna make a great picture for them. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, it's beautiful that they think that, it's just, for us, I mean, I sat in a tasting yesterday for Demi, and what did I do right when the food came in? I took a picture of it, not because of any other reason than literally I know what will happen. I will go home tonight at 11:30 p.m. and I'm going to grab my phone and stare at that picture for 20 minutes and critique it and wonder what else can we do to change it? And I'll work through all the flavors in my head again and things like that. So it's a great mechanism, good tool for that.
I imagine people ask this all the time. I'm sure if I don't ask, someone will say, why didn't you ask him this? What's your favorite food out at one of your restaurants? And do you cook when you're at home?
Yeah, I cook a lot when I'm at home. Cooking is my serenity. I mean, it just gives me so much peace, and it just gives me so much joy to be able to cook. So I usually spend about 3 or 4 hours every Sunday cooking when I'm at home. And every Sunday I do a spatchcock chicken in the oven, and my kids rate it, which is hysterical. They'll be like, Dad, last week's was a little bit better than this week's. I'm like, really? How much better? He's like, well, Julius, my youngest, last week was kind of like a 9. I think this week was kind of a 7.5.
Your hardest critics are your children?
I'm like, just to be clear, it's the same recipe, I'm just trying to see if you'll eat more. So yeah, I cook a lot at home. I love it. And then, when I'm out to eat and different restaurants I go to, I just love to be it's about the people that I'm with. I mean, people ask me all the time, what's your favorite restaurant? And I don't actually have a favorite specific restaurant. I mean, I love so many different restaurants for so many different reasons. And it's a hard question for me to answer because my answer is always different. It's I go out to eat with the people that I'm with, and I just I just enjoy it. I mean, I love Young Joni I love the grilled fish, and I could go there and eat that all the time because it's just really delicious. And I like the energy and I like the ambiance. And, Muriel, that's in St. Paul. It's all these little spaces that are popping up. They're so cute, Petit Leon and so many. So I have joy going out to eat in spaces and having somebody else cook for me.
When you walk into a restaurant, I feel a little bad for the chef because I imagine it doesn't take long for word to get back into the kitchen that Gavin Kaysen is here.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't go, when I go out to eat, I don't go in the mode of critique mode. It's funny, when I do tastings for our restaurants, I eat lunch before every tasting. So if I know I'm going to eat 5 or 6 dishes at Demi, as an example, and taste 5 or 6 dishes, or at Spoon, I will purposely plan to eat lunch 30 minutes before I do the tasting, because then I go into the tasting full. And so I will never eat it and say to myself, I will never taste it rather, and say oh, this is really good. I'll taste it and I'll critique it because I'm already full. So my body's not ready to really take it on to digest it. So that's when I get very critical, and I leave my critiques for that.
So if you're listening and you've had Gavin in your restaurant, he's not critiquing you. He's just enjoying the people he's with. It's fine.
Yeah, totally fine.
So what's next for you? I know you're always working on the next thing. Is there anything you're working on you can talk about?
Yeah, we got a couple of things happening. We're working on a cookbook. So in 2020, we created a program called GK at Home. And the intention was this virtual cooking class to really sort of connect with people outside of the 4 walls of our restaurant. And it's fascinating. A colleague of mine named Kylie Pertel and I sort of helped, birth this baby, and we never expected it to be what it was. I mean, the first class we did, I think 100 and something people showed up. And the third class we did, we had over 1,000 people show up, and it's just continued to grow. And what we've realized is that we've been testing recipes with real cooks every single week. And what should we do with that content? And now we recognize that the best thing we can do with that content is turn it into a cookbook. So we're working on that. We're working on building a new restaurant inside of the Four Seasons, an RBC Gateway building, which is built and 3 blocks from Spoon and Sable, sort of kitty corner from the Whole Foods on Washington, down here in the North Loop. So that space should open June 1st. That came out publicly yesterday. So that'll come out. So that'll open June 1st. We're opening up a restaurant that'll have a bar and a lounge. And then we're also opening up a cafe, which will be like a grab and go, great coffee, sandwiches, salads, pastries, things like that. It will not be branded a Bellecour Bakery. It will be branded something else. We just haven't announced all the names yet, but so we're working on all that stuff.
And you feed the Timberwolves, and whatever you're feeding them, keep it up because they are doing so well.
They've been a lot of fun this year. Yeah, we have the pleasure to feed the Timberwolves, the Lynx, and the Wild. It's been a really fun business, and it's been such a accidental fun business that we sort of stepped into. So it's so cool to be able to cook for these players. And I am not at every game or practice, but I am, of course, in all of the information as to like what's going on. And it's so cool to see how the players have reacted to our hospitality versus our food. We have a gentleman named Tyler who ran Bellecour with us as an assistant manager, and then he was the general manager at Demi and has now transitioned himself over to KZ Provisioning. And he's the director of hospitality, so he's really in the locker rooms and he gets to know all of the players. And it's so fun to read his notes because, you know, he'll reach out and say, oh, you know, so and so, like they have a chicken and wild rice soup competition basically at the Timberwolves, right? And the players sort of like rate which cook makes it the best. And it's cool. It's been fun to be around them, and their energy's great. And you know, Ant is hysterical, and Carl's awesome, and D'Lo's great, and Beasley and the Coach Finch has been a blessing to the team. And so it's been a lot of fun. We're really proud to be a part of it.